Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Shaw. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at NTT Research. And I'm here with Kazuhiro Gomi, or Kazugomi. He is the President and CEO of NTT Research. Welcome to our live Q&A here on YouTube. We're going to talk a little bit about our upcoming event, which is coming up in 2 weeks. It's called Upgrade 2020. It's the NTT Research Virtual Summit. A little bit of background, NTT Research is a fundamental research lab in Silicon Valley. We've been there just over a year, and it's basically a gathering of some of the most brilliant scientific minds in the world that have come together to focus on fundamental research. So we're talking about quantum computing that's going to solve problems that even today's supercomputers can't solve, cryptography research that will take us into a world where you'll get your data privacy back. You know, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? And then medical advances beyond the world of science fiction. And those are the things that you're going to see at Upgrade 2020. It's an event that was going to be happening pre-COVID, and it was going to be live. And because of COVID, obviously we've changed that. So this is our first time we're doing this. And with that, I'd like to get into some questions with Kazu. So Kazu, what was the purpose of the summit, and why do you think we decided to do this? Why did NTT Research decide to host this?
All right, thank you, Chris. And hello, everyone. Thanks for joining to this live stream about this NTT Research. So as Chris mentioned a little bit, NTT Research, we have basically 3 laboratories or 3 focus area of researches. One is that quantum computing, and basically make the long story short, and the second is that this information security, cryptography is that the main thing, and the third thing is medical informatics. But so we have those 3 research labs, and we started our operations or our research activities about a year ago, July 2019. So it's just about 1 year since we have started our activities, and we have a lot of exciting things going on. So at this summit, basically, I would like to give all the audiences that just to give, just a sort of like a progress reports of what we have done and what we are going to do. And then, and we'd like to, ideally, we would like to hear some feedbacks from the experts in the field. But at the same time, this summit, since we have a number of joint partner researchers in many universities and some other academia field, so we invite them over, and then they just give us, they're going to give us their own perspective on that the field of science in respective areas. So yeah, that's from high level, that's the agenda that we are planning right now, and you will hear certainly the details of these areas, and also that you will hear a little bit bigger NTT initiatives in terms of that how to bring that technology into the business, and how we see that IT, telecommunications, or industries going forward. So a lot of things you will see, you will hear by attending this summit.
Great. So, let's dive a little bit into that. So some of the things that people might see. What are some of the things that you expect people to hear? Who's speaking? Who are some of the people who are going to be there?
Sure. So
besides you.
Well, I'm just a little bit sliver of the whole thing. So we have a basically 4-day event we are planning, and then day 1 is general sessions to cover, kind of provide an overview of all the 3 research areas that we do, and then the day 2, 3, and 4. Deep dive into each specific area: quantum computing, informatics, encryption, and then the medical, each topic. So depending upon your interest, obviously for day 2, 3, and 4, perhaps you can choose that most relevant one that you want to listen to. But day 1, again, is that the very general kind of covering the all topics. So for day 1, what we're planning to do is that I would like to say that one of the highlights will be that we will have panel discussions where that all 3 labs representations from that key researchers, and then they will give you some updates, and then their kind of visions where to take that all research activities. So that's certainly one of the highlights. And there are 2, we have invited keynote speakers, 2 special keynote speakers. One of them is Professor Shafi Goldwasser. She is that award, she was that Turing Award winner and in encryption and then zero knowledge proof. That's a very, very interesting technology. And she's one of the keynote speaker. She's a professor at UC Berkeley. And another keynote speaker is Dr. Peter Fitzgerald. He's the cardiovascular specialist at Stanford University. So from obviously the more medical aspect of that, the research field, that he will give us some keynotes there. So those are the 2 panels by the NTT researchers, and then the 2 keynote, and then also we have more ambitions to the NTT's whole research, including Japanese team that it's called IWON, that we are taking this whole network and IT industry to the next level. So we'll talk about those things as well. So that's the 3 things, major 3 things that you can expect on day 1. It's about 2 to 3 hours session, so we're not gonna tie you in too long. So that's the plan.
Good. So I think what I'd like to do now is maybe take a little time to talk about the other 3 days, because this, we've got a lot of students on this live stream right now, and potential scientists who might come and be a part of NTT research someday. So to me, it feels like their big interest could be in the 3 breakout sessions. What do you think there is that, that makes those days interesting, and what could they expect to see?
So obviously those 3 days, as I mentioned, and as Chris mentioned, it's going to be deep dive and very research field specific. So yes, if you are interested in some specific research field, for example, encryption technologies, yeah, you should pick that date, and you can expect definitely the top-notch, world-class researchers. Some of them are NTT research, our own internal researchers, and some of them are our partner research institute researchers from that are joint research partners. There are many names there, but you can look at our webpage and who are the speakers, but you can find many big names in each field of the science.
Yeah, I think that those 3 days are going to be fascinating. It's true. We've got people from all over the world, our partners there, and some very interesting topics. So I highly recommend to any of you to register and certainly take a look on the agenda and see those days. I think the first day will be fascinating because we have researchers there as well. But if you really want to take a deep dive in and be able to, chat with those researchers, you can do that as well. It's going to be quite exciting. Right now, I'd like to jump in and see if we've got any questions from the audience. Let's see if we've got anything coming through. Let's see. Nothing. Oh, here we go. Okay, I've got one here. It says, what are you personally looking forward to most? I guess that'll be a question for you. I'm looking forward to getting it ready and done. I'm working on this a long time. So what are you looking forward to?
Personally, I would like to hear that this three researchers panelists that, as I mentioned on the day one, well, as a part of this team, I hear the progress basically each week, and basically not quite every day, but every day, every week. So, but by interaction of the three top researchers of a slightly different field, and how they can come up with kind of viewpoints of that, what's the better world will look like, and all that kind of thing. I'm kind of expecting that to come out, hopefully. But that's certainly my, if you ask me pick one, I would like to point that.
Okay, not your speech. You don't want to watch that.
That's probably not quite that.
Okay, let's see if we've got anything else. This is it. Someone's asking in terms of the programming or sessions, and what would you recommend a student like me to look out for? I don't know what kind of student that is, but I'm assuming it's someone in the sciences, or they. So yeah, what do you think? What would you recommend?
So I would assume, let's put the assumption that you are, say, in a PhD course or something in that more advanced level, and then kind of shooting for your careers in research for your future. I think it's good to hear from what the top-notch, persons or the group of people in your field, or what you're aiming at, what they're thinking and how they really interact each other. So I think this is a great opportunities to show, from our perspective, showcasing showcasing those kind of interactions to you for your future, certainly reference, and where the North Star of your direction is going to be. And also, what I would like to showcase from my point of view is that you will see lineups of the industry researchers, and also that professors, and then more schools, educational institution. So reality of that, the top-notch science now, and the more and more I think it's going to be like that, is that the more interactions between the industries and the academias. So you will probably see that those combinations in those the discussions on the day 2, 3, and 4, depending on the subject. But certainly, if you are thinking about your careers, either going to the more industry based research institutions and academic based research institutions, certainly there's a slight difference between the two. So you can perhaps see the both end of it. And definitely we are providing you the good mixture of the two. So that's another aspect that you can certainly understand. You can feel it. So that's another point I would like to mention.
That sounds great. So I've got one more here. I think this is going to be the last question. I might take this one a little bit. It says, do you plan on doing summits virtually in the future? I'm going to take a little bit of this, and we can do this one together, because I think that I think we'll have virtual aspects to summits in the future, because I like the idea of really being able to bring in a wider audience than we could fit in a convention hall or something like that. But I think, ideally we'd want both. There's nothing like meeting in person and meeting those researchers in person and hearing them talk about what they're doing. So my hope is that next year, with changes, we would do a summit that would be in person with virtual access for people who can't come to the Silicon Valley, would be able to make it, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. Certainly, both virtual and the physical, there's a pros and cons in both. And virtual is not necessarily everything is bad. Virtual, being virtual, you can just a lot of people can join and hear the story. But the problem is less of an interaction. I guess the bigger problem is that the interaction part. Just a kind of spontaneous discussions on the hallways, just grabbing some interesting speaker you grab and then asking the questions and the intimate feeling of what he or she thinks about. Those things are missing from the virtual, obviously. Probably, yeah. So, but again, pros and cons on both ends. And so what I would like to do is perhaps to some extent maintain this virtual so we can reach out to people regardless of geographical, whatever the distance we can overcome. And so yeah, we should continue thinking about some sort of hybrid approach moving forward. Yep.
So I think we're close to being out of time now. So I think what I'd like to do is, first of all, Kazu, thank you for joining me today and taking the day to do this. Everybody else, thank you very much for coming and joining us on this Q&A. I hope we gave you some information that'll help you, make the decision to join the summit. It's taking place the 28th to the 1st, so in about a week and a half. You could register for it at our site, ntt-research.com. And there's a registration link there. It's free for anybody. And you can see all of the programming, the breakout sessions, who the speakers are. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, NTT Research, or on Twitter. We're pretty active there, NTT Research, and see things that are going on. I definitely think this is something that as a student and a prospective researcher someday, this is something you're going to want to see. It's really an amazing group of people, both within NTT Research and our collaborators and the institutions we're working with. And you look at some of these speakers and some of the things they're going to talk about. It's pretty exciting. So I welcome you all to join us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. And see you at the summit.
Yes, see you at the summit. Thanks.
Bye-bye.